It's not a glamorous job by any stretch of the imagination, but it pays the bills and I get to come home with some amount of cash every day. For a 25-year-old college student, that's about the best work you can get when it comes to unskilled labor. And as long as you can avoid the elderly drivers and manage to not smoke too much pot during your shift, it's a pretty typical job. At least that's what I thought before Monday. The day had gone normally enough before 3:30 p.m. Mondays are usually a slow day and don't pick up until around 3 when the second driver comes in. Being the morning driver, I was the first one up for delivery when the next one finally arrived, so I was pretty excited when I heard the ding come from the computer, notifying the insider that an online order had popped up. Sam, looks like we got an order finally, I said while looking at Facebook for the 15th time today. It had not been a very busy day. Sam, the opening manager, looked up from his seat and at the screen containing the new order. He stared at the screen with worry. I looked up at the screen myself when I saw the look on his face. On the computer screen, just before it shows the order to be made, the customers can leave a note for us to read about the order. Whenever you type a note that, is like draw a dragon on the box or cut into squares, that's where we end up seeing it first. This note, however, read something really strange. 195876 E, Cicero Street. It wasn't unusual for people to write their address in the notes section redundantly. What made this unusual, though, was the house number that was written. Our delivery area only stretches between 400 and 2600 house numbers. If I was reading the number correctly, then that would put this address on 195th Street? Is there even 195th Street in this town? Sam kept staring at the screen, hanging above the marketable, not getting up. Is John here yet? I looked at the clock on my phone, 2:56 p.m. He should be here in just a minute. Why? Sam sighed and got up to go to the marketable. Talk to him when he gets here about this order. I followed him over to the marketable. What the hell is up with this order? I saw him pull a large pizza dough out of the cooler next to the marketable and began making the pizza that was on the screen. I was never a driver, so I don't really know anything about this. Talk to John when he gets here. He's taken this order a couple of times. Before I could yell at him for being so unnecessarily cryptic, I heard the bell for the driver door go off. Howdy ho, motherfuckers, John yelled his usual greeting as he stepped inside the store. Hey, John, Sam said while making the pizza. You guys taking the Cicero order? John's usual smile dropped from his face. Oh, shit. Sam added the banana peppers to the already littered pizza that at this point had gotten a heaping of olives, sausage, pepperoni, and the dreaded pineapple. Think you can coach him through it? John walked around the cooler next to the driver entrance and looked at the dispatch screen. I could see, much like the note at the marketable, the address on the dispatch screen also showed 195876 Cicero Street as the address. I'm gonna need a cigarette break, John said while looking at the screen. Sam huffed. You literally just got here. Yeah, and I'm gonna need a cigarette break with Martin here. Seriously, guys, just what in the hell is going on? I said I was being completely ignored, despite the fact that they were talking about my delivery that I was going to be making in less than 15 minutes. Fine, but make it quick, Sam said as he loaded the large pizza into the oven. John smirked and waved his hands, beckoning me as he stepped outside of the driver door he had just entered. Seeing as John was going to be the only answers to just what I was going on, I stepped outside and followed him. He had already had an unfiltered Pall Mall lit when I stepped outside. That was fucking quick, I said after the driver door shutting behind me. The smile that had fallen off of his face earlier was back. Hey, if you're getting paid to smoke. I pulled my own pack out of my pocket and lit a sweet, sweet menthol. Now, what in the hell is going on with that order? We only deliver up to Greenfield. That's 2600, right? But we do deliver to Cicero, right? Cicero's an east-west street that stretched neighbors from 1400 to 2600. Yeah, that one is for 195876. Even if the address exists, then it's not in our area, unless I'm mixing something. John puffed out a thick cloud of smoke. It does exist, you just have to get in there in a roundabout way. Stop being obnoxious, John, and just explain yourself. Oh, you're no fun. John puffed on the cigarette. You delivered to Cicero, right? Yeah, it's in the 55 plus community, right? Yep. You ever notice that weird sign on the corner property there? I thought back to every time I delivered down there and came up with the sign he was talking about. You mean the one that says no exit and looks like it was painted by a child? He laughed. Exactly. Yeah, I always thought that was weird. It faces that little side street that goes along with the main street. And that little street ends just two houses down from the sign at a dead end, John added. And I added to John's addendum. What does that have to do with this delivery? John took the half-done filterless Pall Mall out of his mouth and looked at it. Well, everything. He didn't continue, but just stuck the cigarette back in his mouth. I almost yelled at him, but decided a softer tone would be more appropriate when I saw the worried look on his face. John? How much gas you got left? He asked suddenly as he puffed the last of his cigarette. I coughed with my last inhale, not expecting that question. What? Do you have at least half a tank? I thought about it for a second. A little over, maybe? Good. If you go down Cicero Street like you would any other delivery, you aren't going to find it. The only way to get there is to go down that little side street. Do a U-turn at the dead end and take a right when you see the no exit sign. And before you say it, yes, I know that doesn't make any sense, but I promise you won't find it unless you do. Okay, I finally got what was going on. This is a hazing thing, right? I'm going to do what you say, you're going to make me look like an idiot, and when I can't find the place, you're going to laugh at me. And when I drive back to the store with that disgusting-looking pizza. He laughed. I thought that when I tried to make that delivery the first time. I didn't make that U-turn. And just what makes me think I should believe you and about any of this. If you're done with the cigarette, he pointed at my hand, where the last of the cigarette burned near the filter, I can prove it to you. I took the last puff, threw the cigarette into the ashtray next to the driver door, and followed him inside the dispatch screen. Sam was already at the cut table, slicing the pizza up and packing it. John poked at the dispatch screen until it showed that I was about to be dispatched on the delivery to 195876 Cicero Street. I thought you said yesterday that you couldn't dispatch anyone else. He seemed unperturbed by my accusation and clicked the confirm button. 2 copies of a receipt. 1 merchant receipt the customer signs for us and 1 for them, printed out. One of the neater things our company has done recently is allow anyone who orders online to pre-tip the delivery driver before we even leave the store. John complained about it a lot, but I thought it was pretty neat, mostly because I knew it told them what a 10%, 15%, and 20% tip actually were. John picked up the printed receipts and showed them to me. In the section where you would find the pre-tip, I saw something that made me think that, no, this is definitely not a hazing ritual. The order was pre-tipped for $150. No fucking way, I said in disbelief. You are a lucky motherfucker. I honestly wish I was the one going on this despite all of the what? I said as I took the receipts from his hand and turned to grab the order. Sam had just placed it into a bag on the racks behind us. Nothing. You'll be fine as long as you follow the guidelines. I turned around and looked at him quizzically. After you get past 26th Street, things start getting weird. You need to make sure to do 3 things while you're on the first delivery. Well, for starters, don't listen to the radio. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it makes the run a lot easier if you don't. I scoffed. Who listens to the radio anymore? He smiled. Okay. Second, always follow the posted speed limit, and I don't mean that in a I'll drive 2 or 3 over and be okay. Don't fucking do it. I grabbed the bag and put all of the receipts in the clear front pocket. And third, he sighed. Don't stop for any reason unless you get to 195-876 A Cicero. No matter what you see, don't stop. I stood in silence, contemplating the delivery. It almost sounded like a joke, a haze, but that $150 tip was already paid for, If I made this run, I could pay my phone bill for the month with just this one delivery. John smiled. If you don't want it, I'll take it. I got bills of my own, you know. You know the rules, John. I grabbed a bag from the rack. First up, first out. He smiled at me. Of course. I smiled back at him and stepped out of the store as I put the bag in my car and started the engine to my 1998 Nissan Maxima. I heard my phone make the noise saying I'd gotten a text message. I took the phone out of my pocket and looked at the message. It was from John. Don't stop for any reason. I looked at the address on the receipt, then back at the phone. I sighed, plugged the aux cable into my phone, and blasted some music before pulling out of the parking lot and toward Cicero Street. Nothing of importance happened until I reached Cicero and turned down it towards my destination. I could see the end of the street just a block down before I recalled what John said about the U-turn. I turned around in annoyance to the little street that ran parallel to the major one. I turned down it, made the quick U-turn, and drove the 100 feet back until I saw the sign sitting on the corner property. Just like I remembered, the sign looked out of the place. It sat on the corner of the rock-filled lawn of the corner, and it had no exit written in a big white lettery paste. The bottom of the letters ran like the child had just wrote it, used too much paint. Here goes nothing, I said as I took a right down Cicero Street. Unlike the first time down the street, I couldn't see the end of the road where it was supposed to be. What the fuck? I drove down the street slowly, looking at the addresses on the various houses as I passed them. 2156, 2202, 2546, 2632. Then I turned my head and looked at the last house. I saw the numbers for our delivery area ended at 2600. Greenfield shouldn't have cut through the middle of the street as I passed between 2546 and 2632. I looked down the street past 2632. Past that house, there was only an asphalt road surrounded by a sidewalk that stretched into the distance too far to see. Where you would expect houses in a densely packed neighborhood, there was only dirt lots and stretched distances so far. I stopped at a stop sign. Above the stop sign read a street sign that said 26th Street. I looked to my right. The house clearly read 2632 East Cicero. Weird is right, John. Weird is right. I looked past the stop sign at the long stretch of impossible road that led off into the distance. I looked at the receipt attached to the pizza bag that read $150 in the tip section. But $150 is $150. I pushed the gas pedal down and drove down the empty street.